All right, checking it out. right, there were some, yeah, the community was. Come on down. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're going to get started in just a moment. All right, I'm going to check to make sure we are online. Well, Josh says it looks beautiful. Shabbat Shalom. You could, sure, go ahead and check, make sure there's sound coming out. If you are one of the couple people watching at home, first of all, hi, Mom. And second of all, bear with us as we run these tests. All right, you're hearing stuff-ish? All right. I don't know if that door's open, though. She's going the upstairs way. So welcome, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. If you want to tilt your chairs this way, you can. I maybe should have done that, but I didn't. But you don't have to. We're going to go ahead and begin on page 1 with Yedid Nefesh, just the short version of Yedid Nefesh. The additional soul on Shabbat. Yedid Nefesh Avarchaman, Yedid Nefesh Avarchaman, Nishach Avdecha, El Ritzonecha, Nishach Avdecha, Yala la 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 la, El Ritzonecha. All right, let's go to page, let's see, how about page 5? Yeah. Well, we don't know that they know. They were informed, but lots of people didn't know. Yeah. We've been to the sanctuary once already.
I was going to suggest putting a sign out there. They'll find us.
Well, also, Justin is now at the top, and that door is closed. It would be hard to get in now.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you might want to run a further check. Oh, so she'll be okay. But don't stay. Just run a quick check. We're going to need you for the minyan, and Henny will have to be grabbed out of the kitchen possibly, too. Page 5. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo, batzru miyom leyom yeshuato, zachru v'goyim ke'evodo bechol ha'amim nivlotav, ki gadol Adonai. Adonai Shamayim Asa Od Vehana Ve'epana Oz Ve'tiferet Be'mikdashu Amul Adonai Mishpechot Amim מצוותיו. איי, השתחוו לאדוני באגרת קודש, היללו מפניו כל הארץ. אמרו בגויים, אדוני מלך, אפליקון תבל בעל תיבות. ידין עמים ומישרים, יהיו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ירם הים ומלואו, יעלו סודי וכל אשר בו. אדירננו כועס יער בפני אדוני קיבה. כי טיבה תתפוס הארץ, כותב בצדק ועמים באמונתו. All right, we turn now to, we're going to go all the way to page 13 today. We have some extra music coming later. So we're going to jump to Psalm 29. Adonai Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Adonai Yechod Ayalo, Ayecheso, Ye'aron, U'ekado, Kolo Merkavo, Adonai, Lama Abu Yashava Yishev Adonai Melech Lekolam, Adonai Yos. I should, before we continue with Lachadodi page 15, a couple things. First of all, since we're outside, we are experimenting with mask optional, or it's recommended, but you do not, it's strongly recommended, anyway, by the county, I should say, not necessarily by our physicians committee, but because I don't want to speak in their name if that's not what they think. Anyway, so you're welcome to have it on, off, but when we are inside in the sanctuary, we will still be requiring it for, I'm sure, at least through the high holidays. Second of all, this is historically a sad Shabbat, and then it's also contemporarily a sad Shabbat as Israel is perhaps at war again. It's trying to wipe out terrorists, and getting bombed, but it's not going to be good. It's very terribly sad. But it's also, this is called Shabbat Chazon, the Shabbat of warning, the last one before Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the day which commemorates the destruction of both temples and other tragedies in Jewish history. But in addition to that, well, actually is the 9th of Av tonight, but we don't commemorate Tisha B'Av on the 9th of Av if it falls on Shabbat. So it's going to be on Saturday night to Sunday. Anyway, we're going to have some music especially associated with that. The rest of the tunes tonight will be, I think, a little more subdued because of Tisha B'Av. So Lecha Dodi, page 15. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela, Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad, Ishme'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet l'kila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki hi mekor habracha, Ve'rosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. We're going to go to page 17, but the top of the page. Lo teboshi velo tikalmi, ma tishtochachi u'ma temi, bach yechesu aniyei ami, v'nimneta ir al tila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. V'hayu shisa shotzayich, V'rachaku kol mevalayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, Kimzos chankatan al kala. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Yamin ושמאל תפרוצי, את אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. We rise and face the entrance. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Kam v'simcha u'b'tzola, Toch emuneh am segula. Boi kala, Boi kala. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. And we say to any mourners in our midst, Makom Menachem Echem B'tok Shavlei Tzion V'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you with all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We may be seated. Just one quick little adjustment here. We are on page 19. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot le'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, lezamer l'shimcha elyon, le'hagim b'boker masdecha, Gayon Yom HaShabbat Tov lehodot le'Adonai V'zamer l'shimcha elyon V'zamer l'shimcha elyon. Continue silently, 19 and 20. Tzadika tamar yifrach Kerez balvanon yitzgeh shetulim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim verananim Yehu lehagid ki ashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatabo. Adonai malach yot lavish Adonai azitazar afti kon tevel ba'altimot nachon kisacha me'az mlamata nasunderot Adonai nasunderot kolam yisunerot yam. Kol od mayim rabim adirim mishpereyam adir mamarom Adonai erotecha Kodesh Adonai leorech yamim. Please rise briefly for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai mevorach leolam va'ed. May be seated. Baruch Adonai l'mechalam asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim. Yom v'layla galolim mipnei choshek v'choshek mipnei or v'yom u'mevin layla mavdil ben yom u'vein layla Adonai tohot shemo el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai amari v'aravim avat olam beit Yisrael amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu v'shofenu u'v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negem yomam v'layla ve'barcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom ha'levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am v'shivtecha b'veitecha Uv'lektecha v'derech, uv'shochbecha, uv'kumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, ve'hayu letotafot beineinecha, u'chtavtam al mizuzot beitecha, u'bisharecha. We continue silently, pages 27 through 29. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לעיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. We're on page 30, but just for fun, a nice a family with a small child showed up, and he's very interested by the following, which I'm going to show you. Yes, there's a massive vehicle, forklift, here today as we're working on the parapet, and it's too hard to move out just for the weekend since we'll be working on it next week. Might as well just say hello to everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Anyhow, a brief digression. All right, we're on page 32. Malchuto bratzon kulehem Moshe v'Nesra lechana shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam mi chamocha v'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh norat ilon osei pele malchut charahu v'necha bokeam lifnei Moshe ze'eli anu v'yamru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Remarki v'nai Yaakov glimmer chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael Hashvir Eloheinu l'shalom. Special prayers for peace tonight, so needed. Spread over us the sukkah of your peace. Ufros aleinu sukkah, sukkah, shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukkah, Baruch atah Adonai, Parei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu, V'kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. Please rise for V'shamru. Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. V'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת שבת וינח בשבת שבת וינח. We'll be back to our regular tune next week, of course. Remain standing for the Chatzi Kaddish, page 35. Yikral v'yikra shemei rabba Gama divrach yirutei v'amlich malchutei v'chaye chon u'vyomechon u'fchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv imeru Yahei shmei rabba mevorach Leolam le'almei almaya yitbach Yitbarach v'ishtabach Yitbar yirmam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'kudsha Le'elam min kol bechata v'shirata Tushvechata v'nechemata Da'amiran be'alma V'imeru Amidah, pages 37 to 48. If you want to face east, you'll be facing that plant back there, but whatever you would like to do is fine with me. יעשה שלום במרומם, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, במהרו amen. We're going to jump right to Kaddish Shalem tonight, page 53. יתגדל ויקרא שמי רבה, ועמד יברח חירותי והמליך מלכותי וחייכון, ויאמר חן לכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, יתברך ומאמין עשה, ויתדר ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי לקודשה, לעולם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה תמירם במה ואמרו, תקבל צלוטון ואותון לכל ישראל, קרבה בהונדי ושמי ואמרו, יש שלום רב מן שמי וכן לנביא כל ישראל ואמרו, עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו. Okay, all right. First, our historical moment from the files. A letter from the president of the congregation in 1971, Sidney Schaefer, to Mr. and Mrs. James Jonas. Dear James and Ida, pardon my delay in answering your letter concerning Cantor Cohen's contract. I am pleased to report that his contract has been renegotiated. Thank you for your concern as evidenced by your letter. I look forward to seeing you in Temple. Sincerely, Sidney Schaefer. I wish I had the other end of the letter, but I don't. Apparently, the Jonases were fairly big supporters of Cantor Cohen. That's about all we can really deduce from that letter. Cantor Simon Cohen was the cantor here from the late 60s through most of the 80s, I believe. And he was a real people person. I hear that he had a very good voice too. I never heard it, although I have evidence that since his children are all very talented musicians, I'm guessing he was too. But he was really even better known for his people skills, working with the bar, mostly bar, a few bat mitzvah students, and people just loved him. He was really all about the people. He ran the religious school for a number of his years while he was here as well. You will find him on the confirmation picture wall, on the unorganized, haphazard part where we have some and we don't have others. You'll see him. I'm trying to, he's the one smiling more than the one, he's smiling more. The other individual who isn't is usually Rabbi Schulweiss. So anyway, a little bit of that. So with that in mind, a little sermon and song tonight. We're going to do some songs that are appropriate to Tisha B'Av. I've got some songbooks, so if people want to sing along. Ariella, they all want to hand out those books, or that'd be awesome. No? Right here, they're right here. These ones, right here. We're going to start on page 18. Page 18. Now, this, by the rivers or by the waters of Babylon, depending on which song you're doing, whose version. If I say the song, what artist do you associate them with? Anybody? Yeah, or by the waters of Babylon. Yeah, anyone? Nobody? Okay, so reggae. So if it's by the rivers of Babylon, the first one would be, yeah. So Bob Marley, Ziggy Marley, Jimmy Cliff all has versions of it. So does Don McLean, same version, and today I learned from our preschool teachers, so does Sublime. So they do this version, which is sort of reggae-ish, but not the way Don McLean does it. How about the other one? By the waters. Anybody? The Weavers. All right, so we're gonna do both of those tonight. And this comes from Psalm 137, and they're literally mourning the destruction of the temple. They're lying down by where they've been exiled to Babylon, hoping for the restoration of the temple. By the rivers of Babylon, where we lay down, there we wept when we remembered Zion. Oh, the wicked carried us away, captivity required from us a song. How can we sing King of the song in a strange land? Oh, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Zion. By the rivers of Babylon, where we lay down, there we wept when we remembered Zion. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. Bizochrenu et Zion. All right, so it not only commemorates the destruction of both temples, Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, but also other tragedies. So we're going to turn back to page 17 and sing a song of the Holocaust, The Butterfly, the Last Butterfly, set to music, I'm not sure by whom, a poem written by Pavel Friedman, whose ages are estimated anywhere between 13 and 16. He was in the in Theresienstadt, where children were allowed to do some art, but eventually most of them were deported to Auschwitz, where they perished. And he's writing about a butterfly that he sees, and it's so sad, he feels like this is the last butterfly that he will ever see. The Warsaw Ghetto was liquidated on, it began on the 9th of Av. The very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun steers could sing against a white stone, that such a yellow is carried lightly way up high. Went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. The very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun steers could sing against a white stone. For 7 weeks I've lived in here, pent up inside this ghetto, but I have found my people here. Dandelions call to me, and the white chestnut candles in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. The last, the very last, so richly, brightly, dazzling yellow. Perhaps if the sun steers could sing against a white stone. That butterfly was the last one Butterflies don't live in here. All right, turn to page 50 now. This next one doesn't sound like a sad song, but it was developed in the saddest of times. Anima Amin, I believe, said by Spanish Jews as they went toward their deaths, most of whom burned at the stake during the Inquisition. And as they faced their deaths, they nevertheless said, I believe with perfect faith in the coming of the Messiah, and even if he delays, I will wait. Nevertheless, I believe. Anima Amin, Anima Amin, Anima Amin, Be'emunah shlema, be'viat HaMashiach, be'viat HaMashiach, Anima Amin, ve'af al pi she'itmamea, im kol ze Anima Amin. Anima Amin. All right, and let's conclude with, on page 16, Bashana Haba'ah. Even though we reenact this element every year, we hope that eventually we will reach a messianic type world, whether you believe in a personal Messiah or not. And as we begin Tisha B'Av in Israel with bombing and potential war, we still say that perhaps next year we'll sit on our mirpesets and we'll watch the birds flying, and children will not live in fear anymore. Page 16. Bashana Haba'ah nesheva hamirpeset ונזפור ציפורים נודדות, ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה when we will be together and no longer will we live in fear, and the children will smile without wondering whether on that day dark new clouds will appear. Wait and see, world this could be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world this could be if we share, if we care, you and me. Oh tire, kama tov yeh, bashana Bashana Haba'ah. Can you hear Ratzon? All right, if you have children who are here, we don't have a Kiddush cup, so we'll forego the Kiddush for now. But if you have children here or anyone else you're comfortable blessing, putting your hands on their heads, we say, Yisimech Elohim Kesar Rivka Rachel Leah, Yisimcha Elohim Kefraim V'chi Menashe, Yivrecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Yer Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God lift the divine face toward you and grant you peace. And we now rise for the Aleinu, page 57. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer v'reshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ. But you could run upstairs and get a bulletin from the main table. Shchinatu zo, u'shchinatu zo, begabe miromim, hu Eloheinu e'edod, emet malkeinu efesulato, kakatu betorato, ve'adata hayom ve'hashevota, elevavecha. Ki Adonai hu ha-Elohim bam 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 ba amayim mima'al ve'al-ha'aretz mitachat enod enod. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz b'yom hahu yihei Adonai echad u'shemo echad. We may be seated as we lovingly recall the memory of our departed relatives and friends whose yortsites we observe during the coming week, thinking especially tonight of George Batavia Jr., Sonia Lazaro Belikoff, Herman Bernstein, Harry Douglas, Herman Engelberg, Alan Fixler, Sam Goodman, Sumner Gordon, Frida Horwitz, Simon Jakobovich, Ida Jonas, Sam King. Is that? No, that's not Mrs. James Jonas. It actually might be. This letter I read. Actually, I think it is, because the other Jonas, Pearl, Caston Jonas, so different one. I think it's Ida. Anyway, her yortzeit, we read their letter. Sam King, Elisa Levine, Peter Lisker, Nathaniel Margolin, my maternal grandmother, Ina Nathan, Harry Gitman Nudler, Steffi Rath, Jacob Schulman, Philip Steiner, Doug Stevens, Annie Schwartz Strom, Robert Woke. Oddly enough, this is the second week in a row where there are no shloshim, no recent deaths at Temple Beth Abraham, which is amazing. Two very significant sports figures died this week, just worth a brief mention. Bill Russell, who is from Oakland and was a multi-sport athlete, but ended up playing professional basketball, and was the greatest shot blocker, greatest defensive center of all time, and a civil rights activist as well, and the greatest storyteller of all time as a broadcaster anyway, and that is Vin Scully, even if he was the broadcaster of the Dodgers. So, Pat Carroll, who was Ursula's. I was just doing the sports one, but yeah, there's others as well. Thank you. And there are many every week. These were two of the giantest of giants, but anyway, thank you for pointing that out as well. And we ask all those who are observing Yortzeit in the year, or anyone else who wishes to rise for the Mourner's Kaddish, page 97. Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. V'Alma Divrach Hirutei v'Amlich Malchutei v'Chayechon v'Yomechon Chayechol Beit Yisrael Bagalav Izman Kari v'Imru Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivorach Le'olam L'Omei Almaya Yit Barach v'Yishtabach V'Yit Pa'ar V'Yit Ramam V'Yit Naseh V'Yit Adar V'Yit Aleh V'Yit Alal Shmei Dekudsha La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, damiran b'alma v'imru. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Osei shalom b'imroma, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May the memory of the people you've come to say Kaddish for be a blessing to you always. Let us say Amen. To you, remember the blessing to you. All right, a few announcements. Tomorrow, services are at 9:30 inside the sanctuary. I'll be talking about my 3-week trip across the United States and lots of synagogue visiting during that time. Let's see, tomorrow night, Tisha B'Av at 8:30 on the floor of the sanctuary by candlelight. And enter through how you would normally enter the sanctuary, out over there at the top. Sunday is a fast day, despite the fact that you may have seen in various publications that there is a Jewish food and wine festival at Sonoma. I am recommending you not go. I mean, yeah. Oh man, I mean, they must not. So one of two things, right? So either they looked at they weren't thinking about it. 3 things. Number 2, they saw, oh, it's the 10th of Av, no problem, not realizing that Shabbat. Or it may be that the congregation and sponsors don't believe in the holiday of Tisha B'Av. They aren't mourning the destruction of the temples, and dafka, they're doing it because of that. But it's not inclusive at all. So a pretty big fail, I would say. Summer's over, my friends. Not officially according to the calendar, but we start preschool next week. Oakland Public Schools start next week. Piedmont Public Schools start next week. Alameda Public Schools, no? 1 more week, okay. So anyway, sorry. Next Friday night, if you're coming next Friday night, you need to RSVP if you want to stay for pizza, because there's going to be pizza, and there is the teen Glebia, the younger version of Glebia, which it doesn't actually exist, but will exist shortly. The teens are leading the service with me, and should be really, really good. Yeah, to Virginia, or there was an email that went out, and if you don't, just email me and I'll pass it on to the people. Not a problem. Telling me tonight, expecting me to do it to the people will not get you anywhere. But if you do email me, it will land in their hands. All right. So, you look like you're new tonight. Tell us your name. Casey and Ezra, welcome. Good to see you. And remind me of your name again. Tommy, welcome back. Yeah, you have been here before, but
Yeah, just starting out.
all right. Well, welcome back. Thank you. And I think everyone else is a relative regular. I think that's Chris back there, right? So, all right. So, Shabbat Shalom to everybody. And yeah, I think that's enough for now. If you're a poker player, there is a men's club poker game at 6 p.m. on Thursday, August 18th.
Guess what?
What's that?
Practice.
Oh, you won't be playing. Bummer. They did not consult you.
Someone else has to know.
All right.
Sometimes I make it for fun.
We're going to conclude with Hatikva tonight. It's on page 65. Please rise. Kolot baleva penima, nefesh Yehudi homia, ulvade mizrach kadima, ayin letzion Sophia, olo abdatik matenu, hatikva majnot almayim, biyotam chofshi ve'artzenu eretz Zion Yerushalayim, biyotam chofshi ve'artzenu eretz Zion Yerushalayim. Thank you to Josh Mailman, who consulted for almost 2 hours with me today, including by text on an airplane, to make sure we went out to YouTube. And Shabbat Shalom to everyone.